I don't know, like, what's worse, to be CIA funded or to be Israel funded? Like, what's worse? What's worse? There's definitely like some overlap there, but it's like, what's worse? Here, let's watch this. I like this one. I like this one. This is a good niche topic. The hexagon of Saturn and the myth of the black cube. Whenever people talk about Saturn and talk about like the black cube, bro, that the planet. Shut the fuck up. The only thing that comes to mind to me, it's always the, what do you call it? The Mecca? The Kaaba? No, not the fucking Kaaba. Bro, that black rock that Muslims walk around. And I never understood this point for Muslims. And if you're Muslim, like, give me some insight, right? Or let me know what you think. Because it's going to be pretty hard, like, to make me not think this way. Because it's a very strange concept to me. Because how are you guys gonna be against idol worship, but then walk around a cube like how cows do? You know how cows, like, will, when they're in some kind of like hypnosis or something, or when they're like when there's like something wrong with them mentally because they're in a fenced area for so long, so they just start group thinking and like going in a circle around their area. Like, you guys are basically doing the same thing. You guys are basically doing the same thing with the black cube. And this is like one of the things that I don't understand with Sneeko. And I be talking a lot about Sneeko, but he's like pretty much my main source for Muslim things. And Myron is he's one of my main sources for like Muslim things, because I think they're both like Muslim and shit. Bro, that doesn't make sense. Like, how do people not see things wrong with Islam? You know? Like, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. I think they try to justify saying that, like, how is it Islam bad? Not saying that Islam is bad, but how is Islam wrong? Like, if it takes like a lot of the things from like Christianity, since it's an Abrahamic belief. But no, I think it's very different. It's very different. And you know, if a Muslim doesn't say that they're very different, then they're not fucking Muslim, bro. You might as well call yourself Christian at that point.
A hexagram, a perfect hexagram at its north pole. What very few people know is that this hexagram has been known about by ancient people for as long as history has been recorded. People who did not have telescopes or the technology to view anything outside of the Earth's atmosphere besides the stars. That is quite the paradox. That's what's been on my mind lately about this subject. It is, number one, absolutely impossible for these people to have viewed Saturn, especially North Pole. Saturn being associated with the black cube, which has direct connection to the hexagon shape, which is a 2D format.
For sure, bro. Like, I almost feel like it's such like an obvious thing that there were civilizations like before us, right? Like, that has to be true, bro. I feel like that's absolutely, almost undeniably true. And they could have been so much more advanced than us. Just because we don't have, okay, think about it, right? Okay, think about just this saying alone. Like, there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. And that can be applied to anything, bro. Just because we have technology like this today. Wait, what the fuck? Okay. Just because we have technology like this today doesn't mean that they had to have the same electric technology as us. You know, they can have technology in different ways, but I think we're so brainwashed to think about technology as like, oh, electronics, chips, like this and that, you know, like I feel like there's ways that we can't comprehend, and that we can't like imagine of their own way of having like this different kind of technology. And so I do believe that there was past civilizations before ours, bro. I do not think that this like humans were a one-time thing.
of the cube proves to us without a doubt that these people over the centuries from all over the world understood that there was this anomaly at the peak of Saturn.
This is crazy too, bro. Like, come on. Oh my god, and you know what fucks me up too? And like, Lord forgive me for what I'm about to say and what I'm about to do. But this is just where my mind goes, and you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. Okay. So, okay, right? The cross. Folded up, it's a cube. Jews. They put that cube on their forehead. Muslims. They walk around the cube. Why do all religions low-key worship cubes?
This has led Saturn to be a leading role in astrology and mythology throughout the ages, and even to this day is part of our pop culture. So when you go down the rabbit hole of the Saturn mythology, you get into this Gnosticism, where Saturn is considered a great teacher, but through suffering specifically. It's been associated with the bringer of light, Lucifer, the primordial star, or the original black star is what it was called. It's also been called the black cube, of course the cube representing that 2D format of it, the hexagon at the top. And the people who understood that there was a hexagon at the North Pole of Saturn must have been either incredibly sophisticated technologically, which we're told is not so, or were able to
that's insane. That's crazy.
Somehow, with some extrasensory perception, understand the makeup of Saturn. So if Saturn is here to teach us through suffering, I suppose it's not necessarily an evil force, but there is a price to be paid. The mythology that ties to Gnosticism seems to point in the direction of a sort of demiurge, or in Latin, the demi.
And why does all esoteric knowledge always come back to Gnosticism? Why is that always a thing? It always go back to Gnosticism. Always. Always. Crazy.
Ergos, which is basically a deity decided to create a universe of its own, therefore creating a flawed reality. Like if you were to create a video game and you get one of the zeros or ones wrong within the coding, the entire game will be flawed. And this is what seems to be, in a way, responsible for our messy physical reality. If this is so, is this something that is objectively real outside of us, or is it something that we project, or could it be a combination of both? Could it be that our reality is indeed a form of a syntax error that
Candranio.
somehow projected by Saturn as a being itself? And if so, does that mean that despite living within this flawed reality, we are still endowed with the divine spark? We seem to have God consciousness within animal bodies. So there seems to be a rift between the animal body and the God consciousness. Going back to the video game metaphor, even though the video game would be flawed, there is still the spark of the original authors within the characters of the game, limited to the five senses.
Do you have Maduro in the bathroom? Like cocaine?
Physical senses that we perceive reality through, of which we know is very thin compared to the actual spectrum of reality. Could it be that what the Bible described?
Yeah, this has always fucked me up as well. Like, isn't it insane how there's like a whole spectrum of reality that we can't see? Like, look, bro, what we can see is only this much. But then there's all this. There's all this that we can't see.
And compared to the actual spectrum of reality. Could it be that what the Bible described as original sin, synonymous with this idea of living within a flawed reality? But how does that make us living in a form of a school? And if we are indeed part of this flawed reality, that means that anything that is not in alignment with divine source should be wiped clean and start over, maybe from scratch. But however, this hasn't happened as we still live in this reality. How can it be so that if we live in a flawed, messy physical reality that doesn't actually represent true existence, how is it that we have from being wiped clean from this hard drive. And that is where Christ seems to step into the picture. Now, this is quite a bit to unbox, and I realize that, but the evidence is absolutely staggering, whether it be mythological.
Yeah, bro, we really gotta let that Saikuno shit go, though. Like, bro, it's literally like, it's like so dumb.
Scientific or numerical. When you connect the dots, it seems as if there is something very strange and very otherworldly and divine happening. Does that beg the question, now that we have been saved, are we now responsible for transforming our reality into heaven, paradise? What can mathematics and astrology and religion and science tie together with this particular shape? This is Metatron's cube. As you can see, it is a hexagram, just like we have at the North Pole of Saturn. You can see that it can be viewed as a cube at the correct angle. That's why it's called Metatron's cube, a two-dimensional form of a cube. Thus, Saturn, throughout the ages, being called the Black Cube. So let's start off by talking about Saturn itself. We know that Saturn is in position 6, and according to the source.
Also, when they talk about Saturn, the only thing that I can think about too isn't there like a painting of Saturn eating a kid?
Our solar system being the sun, and Earth is in position of 3. We just recently rid ourselves of Pluto, which comes in at 9. It also has been discovered that Pluto actually does have a magnetic field despite its size, technically making it a planet, but I mean, how many times do we want to go back and forth with that? But that 3, 6, and 9, those numbers are interesting. Anyone who is a fan of Nikola Tesla, the Holy Trinity, or sacred geometry understands.
Yeah. Yeah, Kendranio, yo, you gotta let it go, bro. Yo, it ain't that deep. It ain't that deep, bro. It ain't that deep, man. Yo, Kendranio, bro. Okay, how about this? Lock it in this video, and we can learn like some real shit. Stop, yo, Kendranio. And this, I'm not like coming at you or nothing. I'm telling you this for your own good. All that shit is goy slop, bro. You do not have to be watching that shit. That whole Saikuno shit, Saikuno, he doesn't know who you are, bro. He doesn't know who you are. He doesn't give a fuck about you. He doesn't, dude. He doesn't, man. Learn, man. This is what you have to do in this world, and I'm saving your life right here by telling you this. Knowledge, bro. Learn real knowledge. Read books. And be the best person that you can, bro. Don't be too invested in that shit. Work on yourself. Go to the gym. Do shit like that, bro. Don't care what the fuck is happening to Saikuno or these Twitch streamers. Like, that's all, like, it's all dumb, bro. It's all dumb. It's all dumb. These are things that are trying to keep you at, like, they're trying to keep you retarded. They're trying to keep you retarded. And me seeing you acting like this, I don't want that for you, bro. I do not want that for you. So please, bro. Please try to not indulge in so much of that.
Understands that divinity seems to have ties with those 3 numbers in a very deep way. The connection between Saturn and the hexagonal black cube was not taken seriously by our modern age until 1981, when a scientific breakthrough changed everything.
Oh shit.
The Voyager sent back sharp images of this anomaly at the North Pole of Saturn, confusing scientists and astronomers all over the world. They scrambled for explanations as to how this could happen on a dead planet. Something that is obviously not sentient, right? Things that are not alive. Bees create hexagons, we create hexagons, but of science, maybe turn to theology, religion, hermeticism, and mythology to better understand what's happening here. Is Saturn sentient? Is there a possibility that as above, so below, just like the bacteria in our gut is alive? What if we are the bacteria?
I mean, the thing is, if you say Saturn is sentient, you basically have, don't you like basically have to say that every other planet is sentient as well? Because why would be Saturn? Why would Saturn be so? Why would Saturn be so special? Just because it has the hexagon? Yo, what's good? Fulfaki?
Within the gut of our solar system, and Saturn is somehow responsible for our physical reality, that being our five senses. It seems as if the tetrahedron, the triangle, and of course the cube represent sentience. For the first time, we have this evidence of sentience being performed by a so-called dead planet. I would be the first one to admit I would love to subscribe to a theory that these ancient people had technology to see the hexagon on top of Saturn. Maybe those from Atlantis or civilizations before that.
Goy maxing. We're goy maxing, bro. Yo, they definitely did have the technology. There's no way they didn't have the technology, bro. They definitely did. They definitely did. Or you know what? I just thought of this too. We better be fucking around. What was I gonna say? Bro, you also gotta think about it too, since infidel maxing. So what we gotta think about too is how different of a world it was back then. So now we live like in a material world, right? But before we used to live in a spiritual war. Not war. That's what we're in now. Right now we're in a spiritual war. But we used to live in a spiritual world. Fuck, I can't say it. We used to live in a spiritual world. So back then there was probably people like dreaming or astral projecting of like going to these different planets. I feel like that's a valid that's a valid thing to say. Men used to hit women too. Yeah, bro, it's like the times were so much greater back then.
Perhaps civilizations of intelligent human beings, or even non-human.
Some still do, yeah. And you know what's even crazier? Now we got women hitting men too.
Intelligence, we don't.
And you know what's even crazier? Equal rights, equal fights. Man.
Is somehow able to see these things, and through cataclysms like the Younger Dryas, wiped out and start over. I can't put any physical evidence on it. All we know for sure is that they did know that Saturn had this cube involved with it. Perhaps they looked within. Is it a form of meditation? We can only speculate as to how Saturn has been called the Black Cube.
Look at this, bro. Cube worship the Kaaba in Mecca. Bro, tell me, like, dude, I can't be... Yo, thank you for the follow. Man, I can't be the only one who looks at this shit and thinks... Bro, people walking around the Kaaba is so uncanny. When they be going to... I'm not sure if it's the Kaaba. Bro, I don't know if it's the Kaaba or not. But when people kiss that rock and how thirsty people look, but like trying to get to the rock to kiss it, bro, it's so uncanny, bro. Yeah. Hey Jarvis, send Jericho. What the fuck? Where do you talk Spanish? You're not fooling anyone, bro. I'm literally Mexican, bro. What was I saying? Holy shit! Wait, I'm tired. I ran out the stairs. Holy fuck. Oh man, I forgot what I was saying. But yeah, no, it's weird. I find it weird. I find it really strange and weird, and I feel like there's something wrong about it.
For thousands of years. We have to keep in mind throughout this entire thing that our ancients spoke in the language of symbols. You can go ahead and throw that away. You can make noise. What are you doing? Don't. All right, well, you can... Yeah, with no shirt on. All right, you can at least get dressed first. They spoke in a language of symbols. We know that language is limited. You can throw it away. It's a game of telephone. When language moves from person to person, culture to culture, it changes. It doesn't stay uniform. Symbology does. Mathematics does. There are concrete ways of communicating from generation.
Yeah, man, fuck it. Send it.
To generation. Can this anomaly on Saturn tie together religion and science? Finally, to be able to admit that we don't know what's going on in the universe. Our five senses are limited. Our language sucks. All language sucks. Language was invented to explain the reality that we live in. So we can't possibly use language to explain things that are outside of our five senses.
Yes, bro. Oh my god, yes. Dude, this is so real, bro. Because, bro, that's why there's so many times when you feel like you can't express yourself. Well, at least I feel like this, right? Sometimes I feel like I can't express myself because, like, sometimes I don't have like the right words to describe it. You know, like there's not a word for every single feeling. You know, for every like single little thing, and it's like words are so limiting to begin with.
Outside of our five senses, so we use symbols.
That's right.
Symbols, guys. Symbols, really important in life. Symbols. Yes, man.
And everybody knows that's what the pyramids were for. We have to get rid of our own bias about what's happening here. We can't blame aliens every time we find something that is unexplainable.
Yeah.
Words don't work, symbols do. We don't necessarily see the world as it is, we see the world as we are. So let us explore this idea of the black cube in the first place. We know that the cube in a lot of mythologies represents the limitations of the human body, whereas the circle or the sphere seems to represent the subtle energies of the divine. We know that within a macrocosm, spheres form naturally due to gravity, whereas the carbon atom, of which we are all made of, seems to take on a strange configuration of cubes and hexagrams. How is that possible? If the cube represents the limitation of the human body, that is the ox that is to be tamed within Zen mythology, how can we be taught to transcend this animal form into our subtle divine natures? The answer to that question, unfortunately, is suffering. And that's where things start to get a bit dark.
Holy shit, wait, what?
To transcend this animal form into our subtle divine natures. The answer to that question, unfortunately, is suffering. And
I feel like it's very true. It's very true, and this is why I think like Christianity is one like it's, I don't know, right, if Christianity is fully correct. Obviously some form of Christianity way more correct than others, but I feel like they have it the most right. Christianity is the most right, bro. I feel like hands down it has to be the most right. Because, bro, look at Jesus. And you gotta learn, you gotta see the life of Jesus, and, you know, like, you gotta, like, study it, and you gotta see, like, how it is. He suffered. He transcended. Not saying that, everyone's like Jesus, you know, and everyone's gonna be like Jesus, but with suffering, there's a lot to learn from suffering, for sure.
that's where things start to get a bit dark, because we don't learn without suffering. In fact, suffering is the catalyst of all invention and technology.
Facts.
We essentially chase comfort. To live in this animal body, we are subject to desires. We need air, food, and water. It's literally painful to exist in physical reality. If you think
True.
about physical reality in the case of the Gnostic view of the demiurge having created it, syntax error, it would almost seem as if it was an accident, or at least if on purpose. What if it is some form of school? Use that error to create a school for flawed beings such as ourselves.
Wait, why the fuck did that dude have a stethoscope onto a hard drive?
School. Use that error to create a school for flawed beings such as ourselves who are born in original sin. Otherwise, we might have been wiped clean by the primordial first
Muslims don't believe in original sin, by the way.
cause. There's no way of proving that the primordial first cause is that of good. We invented good and bad. That's us. What if evil doesn't exist? What if good doesn't exist? What if it's up to us to take over from here within this flawed video game, simulation, whatever you want to call it, in order to bring the syntax error of these mathematics back into harmony with the Tao, the primordial first cause, God, if you will. Oh, he's got a grip. This should be a video about serpents.
Hey, fucking yo, this is freak ass shit.
Have you ever noticed what the construct of a carbon atom is? It is 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons. Man, when this thing's 8 feet long, it's gonna be a little bit more of a challenge. This 666 combination is what drives a reaction of chemical elements into our DNA sequences that become the building blocks of living, breathing form. Perhaps, like the Bible has stated, we are truly born in original sin. It seems to be a form of divine nature consciousness congealing itself into physical form. But is physical form a mistake? Oh shit, he's got the cable too now. Okay, cool. All right.
I don't think the physical form is necessarily a mistake. I feel like it's just like an experience that is optional but flawed, if that makes sense.
To a 45-minute video. If we turn that hexagon of the 3 6s back on its side where it can be placed firmly on the ground, it is a cube. What happens when we unfold it? We talked about the sacrifice of Christ. Anyone who in grade school create a cube out of paper knows that it starts with a cross. This makes me wonder about the symbology of the cross in the first place.
What did I say? What did I say, child? What did I say?
If we know that Jesus entered our reality to save us from the flaw, wouldn't it make sense that to share that message to the future generations, we would create what I call an allegory? Well, what everybody calls an allegory. A euphemism, a metaphor. He left his body on the cross, black cube, and transcended his animal form, leaving it behind on the cross. His spiritual nature was no longer bound to the material world and free from the limitations of the black cube. Not that he ever was in the first place, by the way. He had transcended that shit in this reality, which maybe should be our goal. Christ was crucified between two thieves. This is interesting. Nothing in the symbology of the Bible is on accident, by the way. What happens if we unite these opposites? How would we perceive reality if instead of bouncing back and forth between these two thieves, the hemispheres of the brain, we have a total synchronization of the opposing forces to unite the opposites of the...
What did he say?
We have a total synchronization...
Shout out to the CIA for the hemisync experiments. Facts.
...of the opposing forces to unite the opposites of the cross. As Carl Jung would put it, to unite the opposing forces of the opposites.
The anima and the animus?
To hold the tension of the poles. Christ ascended the cross upwardly. This is adjacent from the cross-section of the T, which is left and right, black and white, opposites. You understand the two thieves now, right? One was innocent, one was guilty. Could it be that the right hemisphere of the brain was innocent? Could that be the message that they're trying to send us all these years later? Was a man named Jesus literally crucified and humiliated for teaching human beings about peace and love? Or are we looking at an allegory that's been passed down through the generations in the form of symbols, just like the pyramids, in order to teach us something that can't be expressed with literal words? This idea of the tetrahedron, the Holy Trinity, the 3, 6, and 9s, the 666, and the black cube, exists in every culture, in every bit of time throughout history, and very often is tied to the planet Saturn. I'm not particularly into astrology myself, mostly because of the way that it's been generalized. It's become a sales pitch, like a fucking strip mall. But the original astrology wasn't.
Yeah. So the thing is that people nowadays it's astrology, but it used to be astronomy. Know the difference?
Quite like that. Gravity affects things. We know for a fact that when there's a full moon, people act differently. It controls the tides. The moon moves water. Our bodies are 70% water. How is it possible to deny that we're not affected by gravity? We can't see gravity with our own eyes, but we know it's there.
Yeah, the moon definitely affects people. For sure. No doubt about it. Next time, guys, a little experiment for you guys. Next time there's a full moon, notice how the people around you be acting. It's actually so weird.
Literally holding us together. Saturn has gravity, an immense, incredible amount of gravity. To think that Saturn doesn't have an influence of human nature and behavior is ridiculous based on gravity alone.
That's the picture I was talking about.
Alone. You don't need mythology for that. So if we could admit that, even scientifically, is it strange to wonder if Saturn is somehow responsible for our limited view of reality constricted to the five senses? Could it be that we are of spiritual nature and to make our souls learn?
Duh. I mean, isn't that kind of obvious?
Evolve, we have placed ourselves within these animal bodies, subject to the cruelty in order to face problems that a spirit that does not need food, water, and air, or desires would need in order to teach our souls empathy, understanding, limitations. And can spirit, the subtle energies of spirit, pierce into this physical syntax error that we live in, and through creativity cause us to expand our consciousness and thus rejoin with that primordial first cause that must exist before matter exists? As we know from previous videos, you can't have matter without consciousness. Matter doesn't exist. Consciousness does. Matter comes from consciousness, which makes it less weird that shit like this exists in front of our eyes on planets. The Gnostic Sophia wanted to create a reality of her own, but it didn't have the purity of consciousness to do it right. Imagine an intern who began taking over for someone making a video game. There would be problems. But the spark, the mathematics of that original author would still exist within the video game despite how messy it gets. Could our jobs be to realign with that? And if we are an accident, what if Christ saved us because he didn't find it fair for his father's sons and daughters to be erased because they are a syntax error? We are recognized for our spiritual nature. If we can overcome the animal body, we can ascend. A lot of you watching this have probably seen the popular animated TV show Rick and Morty. A mad scientist named Rick decided to invent a machine.
Bro, Rick and Morty is so good. I liked Rick and Morty. The first season. First and second season, then it was just ass.
To serve him butter. When the machine became sentient and realized that its entire sole purpose was to serve butter, it went into a depressive state. This is a good way to understand that Gnostic cruelty of physical existence. Rick's battery
That guy just had a spear shoved up his ass.
On his car or fucking something like that. I'm gonna get the details of this episode wrong, but it's the gist. The battery on his car quit working, so he had to shrink himself down into a macrocosmic level to go into the battery. There was an entire civilization of living physical entities whose efforts and energy is actually what powered Rick's car. Rick pleaded with Morty and said, do not tell these people that their sole purpose is to power my car. It would create chaos. The living entities, the conscious beings within this reality.
Oh my god, is that us? Holy shit, are we just a soul farm?
Wouldn't be able to handle.
Who said that? I forgot who said that. Was it Joe Rogan? Or someone that went on Joe Rogan's?
The brutal reality of their existence being for the sole purpose to power some dirtbag's fucking car. It would cause mass suicide. When Rick goes down there as an avatar, he's considered a god. This is obviously funny and humorous to watch for us because...
Nah, but it's real as fuck, I'm not even gonna lie.
We know that that's a TV show, and we don't have to worry about that. We live in objective reality, right? There's no way that we are a power source for an evil entity. There's no way that we are a power source for an evil entity. It can't be. That certainty that we are not a food source for a higher creature that could be, in a way, malicious is hubris. It's ego. We think we're the top of the food chain, and when we find out that we're not, we freak the fuck out. What would happen if our species was to realize that we were a sort of a farm, a sort of an experiment, maybe even bacteria in a petri dish, or empowering somebody else's world of a magnitude that we can't even imagine? If that's the case, how can we be controlled? Let us consider for a moment how high fleas can jump. Compared to their body size, it's like one of us jumping over a building in downtown New York. However,
no way.
If you put a group of fleas into a jar for 3 days, the lid therefore limiting their incredible ability to jump, something very unexpected happens. These fleas, despite being fully capable of jumping great distances,
oh my god,
out of the jar, simply do not anymore after 3 days. They will
oh shit, what the fuck?
faithfully stay inside the jar with the lid.
Dude, I thought he was about to say that they start jumping through the jar.
Removed. And then something far more strange happens. This shit is where it gets scary. When the fleas reproduce, the offspring of those particular fleas also ignore or are ignorant to the ability to jump any higher than the lid of that jar was set for it.
Oh, that's crazy as fuck.
Its parents. This is startling as all fuck. Fleas, just like us, are made out of carbon. We just learned that carbon is, in its raw form, the 666. We are fleas. We're living, we're breathing, sentient to a particular degree, and we can be controlled. We can be brainwashed, and we can be tricked.
Holy shit, wait, where'd this video get so dark?
What if one of those fleas in the jar was to wake up and say, guys, we can jump fucking way higher than this. We can jump out of the jar. We can be free. Would the fleas consider him to be a heretic, a crazy person, a genius maybe? If he was to jump out of the jar, would they consider that a miracle? Can we handle the fact that we are the fleas and Christ realized that we are being limited to these 5 senses and wanted to liberate us from our programming? The carbon atom, the black cube, Saturn, 666. Our non-Christian viewers might say, what about Krishna? What about the Buddha, Quetzalcoatl? These teachers of mankind, Lao Tzu, for example, who have woken up and they've expressed themselves to other human beings. Us, as those fleas who can't jump out of the jar, oftentimes assassinate those who show us how powerful we are. Because to be that powerful, we have to use love and understanding in the same way that the bacteria in our gut has to break down proteins, get along with the amino acids in order to create DNA. All of the portions of our body, which is essentially a place, all of these atoms, molecules, DNA, organs, etc., have to get along and live in harmony for us to thrive. If they don't live in harmony, it becomes cancer. That's science. That's not theology. That's in our body right now. Imagine, like the Kabbalah says, we are meant to create one uniform creature and have it realize bliss. To serve man is to serve God, just as the bacteria in our guts to serve the amino acids that create DNA, that camaraderie, that love, that attention to detail is what makes the human body thrive. If we are living in a God as part of it, then indeed, to serve man is to serve God. To serve each other is to serve God. The only thing holding us back is the frequency that has been endowed upon us by. But why would something oppose our growth spiritually? It is said that there are these beings called archons that were...
Eh? No. No, thank you. No. No, ¿para dónde vas a ir? ¿A Burger King? Oh, no. No, está bien. No, nomás compra para ustedes. Thank you. Oh, guys, isn't that sweet? My dad just came in to ask if I wanted a burger. Sadly, I'm on a diet though, cause I'm fat.
Created out of the syntax error. They feast.
They scared the fuck out of me though. I was like, who the fuck is that?
And use as sustenance our energy, like Rick's battery. The more pain that we go through, and the more hatred that we expel towards our fellow man, the more that cancer can grow. Cancer within us depends on the discamaraderie of our physical nature.
Yeah, and it's like, think about it. It's kind of like, it's impossible to say that people aren't feeding off of our like attention and our energy, our focus, you know. So
to thrive, thus killing us. If we don't get along, we become cancer to the earth. The earth becomes cancer to the solar system.
Of all religious and alchemical texts on earth, most are hidden within the Vatican. Facts. Archived behind closely guarded lock and key. And that is just what was salvaged from the burning of that Library of Alexandria. So true. Is this concealment of knowledge and wisdom meant to harness and keep powers, and to stay lawfully above his fellow man? A pyre of taking control and conspiratorially? Or it might, maybe by proxy, but maybe a lot of that information is just, it's too much, bro. It's too much to be known for the common man. It might be too much. Or is it for our protection? That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.